guys, it's Wilma. Welcome to a new video. Today we are going to be painting on canvas again. So if you saw my last video, you would know that I painted on canvas for the first time in 2 years in that video, and I really enjoyed it and I wanted to make another painting. So that's what I'm going to be showing you in this video. I've already made it as I'm doing this intro, and it's one of my favorite paintings that I've done in a very long time. So I'm very excited to show you guys what it looks like and the process and all of that. And yeah, hope you'll enjoy. So for this painting, I decided to do a underpainting. I am not sure if I've ever done, or if I have, it hasn't been a great underpainting. Like, I've never really sketched out a whole thing underneath my painting with just one solid color. So this was a very different approach to this painting and something that was very new to me, and I just hadn't really done it before. And I found this to be super helpful. It helps a lot with getting all of the values right and all of the colors, because when you're painting on a white surface, it's easy to get colors wrong because it's such a harsh contrast towards the colors that you can't fully tell what they look like. But when you have an underpainting, it's a lot easier to tell because the underpainting is contrasting towards the values and the colors that you put down. So I found it to be such a great way to paint, and obviously most artists probably use this technique. I just hadn't really done it before for reasons that are unknown. But yeah, so I really enjoyed the fact that I did that for this painting, and I definitely will do that in my upcoming paintings. Something else that I think that it also really helped with was that I didn't really sketch out like a perfect sketch. I kind of just roughly estimated what things would look like, the size of the shapes, and just like in general what they would look like. And usually I'm very precise with my sketches. I like to do very detailed things and realistic paintings and drawings, and so having just a very rough sketch really helped me loosen up, which is something that I've been wanting to do a lot in my paintings recently, for a long time actually. But I never really knew how to get there because, as I've discussed many times, I'm a big perfectionist, and especially when it comes to art. Like, I'm a perfectionist with a lot of things in my life, but it's really heightened when it comes to art, and it can be really frustrating because sometimes I just want to let loose and do something simple, but my perfectionism has gotten in the way a lot of the time. But recently I find that it's been a lot easier to let loose for me, and especially with doing this technique, I realized that it really allowed me to be very loose in my technique. And so I really enjoyed that. As I said, it's something that I've been wanting to do for so long, but I just never really knew how to do that. I could have definitely looked up some videos to help me, but I feel like I'm so, I don't know if stubborn is the right word, but I guess that's the word that I'll use. I'm very stubborn when it comes to things, and I kind of just want to figure it out on my own, which I'm not sure that I recommend, because I feel like I could have learned so much more if I kind of just put a little bit more time into researching, you know, whatever problem I've had in art. I could have just looked it up and been like, how do other people do this? But something that I do is that I watch a lot of other artists, and although they're not like giving me a full-on tutorial, I can kind of like see how they approach their art, and I think that that's really interesting. And yeah, I've just never really wanted to look up how to do certain things even when I'm struggling, because I just want to figure it out on my own. And I don't know if that's like a pride thing or what it is, but yeah, I guess it just never really occurred to me that I could literally just look up videos on how to become more loose in my technique and stuff like that, which don't know why I haven't done that. But anyway, as I said in the intro, this is one of my favorite paintings that I've made. One of the biggest reasons for that is probably the fact that as I said, I was able to really let loose in this painting. I also really enjoyed the subject that I was painting. It was this picture of just like a bunch of flowers and a bunch of green, and I've really been enjoying doing a lot of that type of stuff recently. If you know my art, you probably know that I've done a lot of portraits in the past, but recently I haven't really been doing any portraits. I've mostly just been doing a lot of nature scenes and animals, which is another thing that I really enjoy painting. I think I've just been in a phase where I haven't really been wanting to be hyper focused when I'm making art, which I think that when you're making a portrait, you have to be really focused because you want to make sure you're getting all of the proportions right and that everything looks correct. And portraits are just not the easiest thing to do. And so I guess because I've been wanting to have more fun with my art recently, I've kind of strayed away from doing portraits, and I've done more nature scenes and food and animals and stuff that's like a lot harder to mess up on, because especially I've noticed when I'm doing nature scenes, I don't really care about it looking perfect. I don't care about strictly following my reference photo, like looking at the reference photo and really doing everything that I'm seeing there, because when I'm doing portraits, I am very much constantly just trying to get my painting to look like the photo because I want it to be realistic and I want it to really look like a person. But with these nature paintings, I haven't really had to do that because you can be a lot more loose, and I find that you don't have to include every detail for people to be able to tell what you're making and for it to look decent. So yeah, if you are also someone who is a perfectionist but you feel like letting loose and you don't really know how to do that, I would recommend doing nature stuff, maybe food, or just anything that is kind of hard to mess up. I guess food is a little bit more tricky than nature because you still have to have some sort of likeness there, and you still do with the nature stuff obviously, but I just feel like it's a lot easier for me to be abstract with nature paintings. I did still struggle with the realistic aspects of this painting because I have been making realistic art for as long as I've been making art, and I've had a lot of times where I've been like, I don't want my art to be realistic anymore, but I have no idea how to break out of that, and it's so hard. And so when I was making this painting, I was like, I don't want this to be super realistic, but at the same time I still want it to be realistic, just not too realistic. And so I was really struggling with knowing how many details I should include or how many details I should not include. And I did get to a point where I noticed that I was probably doing a little bit too many details for this to be considered like a loose painting, and it's just really hard to stop myself when that happens. Like with the leaves, like there were a lot of greenery in this, and then there were like a few leaves that were a little bit more in focus than others, and I was like, should I like include all of the details in the leaves, or should I leave them like blocky, if that makes sense, like just blocking the colors? And so I did end up adding a lot of detail to one of the leaves, which is the one with the ladybug, but then I was like, wait, I can't be adding a bunch of detail to just one thing in the painting and then let everything else not have a lot of detail. So I did change that eventually. I find it to be a little bit tricky to figure out how to find a good balance with the amount of detail that I want to add, because it's just really hard when you are used to doing realistic art, and I still want the art that I make to be like you can see what it is, but at the same time I don't want it to be over detailed. I feel like I'm talking in circles here, but hopefully you understand what I mean by that. But yeah, this painting was such a good lesson in me trying to just enjoy the process and not include all of the detail. I also really love when you can see the underpainting peeking through in the painting. I used a burnt sienna for the underpainting, which is a very common color for underpainting, and I really enjoyed the way that it was peeking through with the green and the blue. It contrasted so nicely with that, and so yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then when I got to the blue flowers, I decided to make some of them be kind of detailed, like not super detailed, but like you could tell that they were in the shape of a flower. And then if you look towards the top of the canvas, you can probably tell that they are more blobby, which is because that part of the photo that I was looking at, they were in the background and they were blurry. But because I wanted this to be a loose painting, I didn't want that to be like hyper realistic, you know, when you like really make something look blurry. So they kind of just look like blobs, but I honestly really enjoyed that. I think it turned out really cool, and I didn't want to overwork any piece of the painting, which is something that I've done a lot in the past and something that I have worked very hard to let go of. And it still does happen on occasion that I do overwork my pieces, but for the most part I think I've learned how to not do that, which I'm very happy about because it sucks when you overwork a piece. Anyway, I just had to stop my recording for a little bit, so if I sound different, that would be why. But yeah, as you can probably hear by me talking about this painting, it was so much fun. I enjoyed literally all of it. I didn't really face any struggles, and when I was painting it, I was like, wow, I did not know that painting could be this fun. And I have been painting for years. Granted, I haven't done like a lot of canvas paintings or anything, but I've been doing art for so long. I've made so much art, and so the fact that it took me this long to finally be like, wow, this was very different and really enjoyable, and that is just what I've been seeking lately. I feel like earlier in my art career, or whatever you want to call it, my art life, I was more focused on just making art that was really good, whatever that meant at the time. But at this point, like obviously I still want my art to be good, of course, but it's almost more important for me to actually enjoy what I'm making rather than me enjoying the results, because I've had so many art pieces that I've made that I hated making, but I thought that the results were really good of, and it kind of is just like, why would I go through all of that pain just to be, I mean, it's like, I get it, it's nice when you're happy with a piece of art, but if it wasn't fun to even get to that point, to the finished results, then was it really worth it? And I guess me in the past would probably say that it was worth it, but me in current time would not say it's worth it. To me, it's way more valuable to enjoy art and to have fun and to make things that I really love the results of and I enjoy the process of, because it is possible to actually enjoy both. Who would have thought that? So yeah, this painting was just such a great time. I'm so happy with it, and I really value the time that I put into this, and the results are just very satisfying. And I really like the fact that I was able to really let loose, and when I look at the painting, I'm like, there's so many things that are not perfect, but I love that about it. I think that's what makes it good. And it's just so nice to finally be able to have come to a point where I can feel that way, because that's where I always wanted to be. I just never knew how to get here, but now I'm here and I'm so happy about that. So here's the finished painting. I am very, very happy with this. As I said, it's one of my favorite art pieces that I've done in a very long time. I feel like I tried a lot of new things. I try to be very loose with my painting style, and usually when I use acrylic paint, I'm very detailed and want it to be like perfect. But with this one, I was able to let go of a lot of details and just kind of like leave them. There's a lot of things that maybe doesn't make sense, like this part. It kind of just looks like a blob. Ow. It looks like a blob of flowers, I guess. Compared to like these, they are more detailed and you can tell that they're flowers, which basically is in the photo, this part of the flowers were out of focus. So they were very blurry, but I didn't really want to make it that realistic, like really make it look blurry, if that makes sense. So I kind of just left it very simple, but I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. I really enjoyed these parts and like these flowers here. I just think it turned out so cute and I'm so happy with it. This is for sale if you are interested. It's gonna be listed for $200 and the shipping may vary depending on where you live. So if you are interested, you can contact me in my DMs on Instagram. Anyway, that's this video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this painting. I really loved painting it and I'm in love with the results. So yeah, hope you enjoyed and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.